Oh,
We're
so
rolling.
you are, it's rolling?
Yep.
Okay, the weather rock. I found that in the fence line between this property and the farm. It was probably hauled out of a field maybe 50, 75, maybe even 100 years ago, probably by horses on a stone boat. And I saw it and I recognized it. I thought sandstone, which it turned out to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know there was a hole in it, however. So over several years I kept digging away at the dirt, and when the hole appeared it was clearly meant to be what it is. The Rylander weather rock. The only one we own.
All right.
So moving from the weather rock. Oh, wait a minute.
And pan back to the house.
The house, yeah.
Yeah.
This is like the weather rock, not just an ordinary house. It's the exterior wall, 55 feet of it, is cordwood masonry construction, which needs some attention. It's about a 900 square foot house, foot of dirt on top of it, built with 4x8 red oak rafters on 2-foot centers, spanning no more than 9 feet anywhere, none of which is sag. Very warm in winter, and even in summer manages to be quite cool, so that has worked out quite well. And there, emerging from the house, is one of its residents, known as Edith Rylander.
I didn't know I was walking.
Well, yeah, look at there. And advertising Cambridge University in England.
Yes, yes.
And standing in front of a huge collection of morning glory that is having some trouble standing up straight because it broke the tree I had put there for it to climb. So that's what's happened to that. So from there on, and Jamie, you should be talking too, as someone who owns all of this now.
Oh, jeez. Well, there's the Toyota Yaris. It's about 10 years old. And our den and my camping chairs. And we're coming up on the tractor shed.
The tractor shed.
All right.
The unpainted part of it houses Eric's collection of vintage snowmobiles and his tractor, and I'll move it so we can get a quick peek inside here.
Okay.
And there, Jamie, you have it. Eric's
All right.
1940-something Ford tractor. I bought that about 5 years ago. And then his covered up snowmobile.
All right.
And of course built, take a shot at the roof, all out of native materials.
All right.
Harvested here, cut by a local friend of mine, and who helped put it together.
Come on, Merle.
Come on. There you are. And the rest of it has another tractor. And unbelievable amounts of debris.
And here's the tractor shed. This is part one.
With my green goat. Down south they call them gators. I call it a goat. We don't have gators up here.
It's a nice bike over there.
And a nice bike that I bought at a garage sale for $4.
Oh, wow.
Schwinn.
Yeah. Schwinn's are nice.
Oh, it's a high-class bike.
Yeah, it is.
And again, all native materials, except for the siding.
Okay.
Oh.
Merle.
Then we have the garage that Dan and I built in 1986, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a workshop on this end of it. And we did the back wall out of cordwood masonry before we built the house. And Edith says we made all of our mistakes on it. And there were lots of them, particularly using green lumber, which shrunk terribly.
Uh-huh.
It should have chicken wire put on it and stucco over the whole thing eventually. And Jamie says she can get around to that.
Oh, Jamie said that. Oh.
Well, this tree was planted, I believe, in about 1990 as a little sapling, maybe 1.5 feet tall. It's a hybrid spruce, and it is sizable. There is, well, when we go around this way, Jamie, I think.
Well, you gotta get a shot of the.
Oh, you're gonna get a shot of the whole thing. Oh,
Just get a shot of these, the greenery. So we gotta compare it to all the snow that Eric had.
and these are at the end of this road to the right.
All right, and this is County Road 102.
Yep.
All right, and we're at 16506. And there's Merle. Okay,
And
come around to the
this
sap
way
shack.
We have a bur oak here and a basswood here.
Those trees.
And all of the pines were planted, evergreens were planted again in, I think, 1990. 90 or 91. As little tiny saplings.
And what year did you guys move over here?
87.
87.
And we're moving to the top of the hill. One year we had some orphan fawns that were just old enough to live on their own. They would often come up on hot days and sleep here and catch the wind coming off the lake.
Mm.
And on the left down here is a non-insured piece of property known as the sap shack.
Aha.
This is where the saps gathered to cook sap in the spring. And we'll open the door and we'll give you a look at what's inside.
So you guys would sit here for, how many hours would it take to boil the sap down?
Sometimes 2 days,
Okay.
depending on how much you let pour in.
Yeah, and were all these the
big batch, say 5-6 gallons, it would take the better part of 40 hours to boil the sap down.
Yeah.
The syrup. This is the pan that we did the boiling in. That is, as you see, a high-class stove, and this would hold 60 gallons, although we would drip it in from a container outside into this at a rate so that it evaporated at about the rate the drips came in.
Okay.
There are the pails we collected.
Wow. And you can stay nice and warm in here, and this is like March,
Yeah.
April?
Usually end of March, early April. This hand corn planter was owned by my maternal grandfather. It's probably well over 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
And originally he used it even to plant field corn.
Wow.
Not just sweet corn, field corn.
Wow.
And then over the years, I collected a few other corn planters, some of which might or might not be quite valuable. Who knows? These are stainless steel containers originally used in milking machines. So
Okay.
the milk would drain into those. And I can't show you all of them, but there was a lot of beer that was drunk in here.
Oh, there's the can. Well, you gotta have something to do in those 40 hours of boiling the sap, right?
Several times we raised chickens in this chicken coop and had a run for them out here.
Oh.
And that is the size of the garden we used to plant. And pretty soon you'll see what that has been reduced to now.
And did you start planting in 87 too?
Oh, well, probably 88 here. 87, the garden was still across the road. I do have some tomatoes growing out here, and they're doing very well.
Yeah, they look great.
These on this side are called a matina. It's a heritage, very early, long-lasting tomato. I've picked them off the garden as late, off the ones in front. I have some in pots in front. I have picked them as late as quite late November.
Oh, wow.
And on the other side is a hybrid beefsteak tomato. And up here you can see Dan's laundry.
Right.
And our back entrance to the house. That'd be an interesting shot looking up
Yeah.
that way. And this is the garden that we currently have. 2 old stock tanks. This was planted several days ago to lettuce, so that'll be a new crop. That's bok choy, and then lettuce and onions, carrots. It has been quite productive. Getting dry?
Yep. I don't really want this in the shot either. Alright. There's the back.
This vegetation here is called red osier dogwood. It's a native plant, usually grows in wet, swampy areas.
Mm-hmm.
I dug some up, planted it, and it threatens to overwhelm everything.
Oh.
The deer love it. It's one of their favorite winter foods. One year, after a few inches of snow, I came out in the morning, and deer had been here nipping the ends of all this off their forage. Then I looked, and here, going up the hill, were the deer tracks. They had eaten here, come in from out there, gone up onto the top of the house, ran right over the top of the 2 of us in bed at night, and went out the other side.
Oh, wow. So I take it woke you up.
This is all a hand. When we got here, we had run out of hill.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up a lot of dead timber, and we stacked it up. It looked like an old beaver lodge. And then we put some dirt on it, and in 30 years, you wouldn't guess what formed the basis for the hill.
Nice. So this is the back of your bedroom right here?
That's the back of our bedroom right there. And over here, something which the county knows is a storage shed. And we do store a lot of things, books and whatnot, but we also occasionally store people in it.
All right.
Okay, Cookie. Come on. All right, coming down the hill. And there it is in its full glory. Dan and I built this in 1986. Most of the lumber in it on the inside was recycled from an old house in Melrose that had been torn down, and the guy stacked it in his mother-in-law's garage. Got by with that for a couple of years until she finally evicted him from it, so I got it cheap. The exterior is all vertical popple called here, or aspen, and it has a bedroom on one end, and it can sleep 5-6 people fairly easily.
Should we go look at the apple tree?
Yep. And that, when one day I came out to do the entry porch with no idea that it would turn out to be a two-story porch.
Uh-huh.
And I had beautiful full 2x4 white pine that I had gotten out of that used lumber I bought. I couldn't bear to cut it. So that's how this ended up being 14 feet tall.
Oh, wow. And that was
it has a trap door inside that you can sneak into, and my wife used it for writing purposes for years.
Yeah, nice. We have a couple apple trees over here. There's a big one up there. Here's one of the trails. So how many trails are going through the woods? And
Actually, I drew a trail map for Eric a few years ago of where all the trails are, and
oh, nice.
it's in the it's on the side wall of the freezer in back.
Okay.
Which describes where all the trails are.
Okay.
And this tree, apple tree here, with yellowing leaves all over, is a late apple, a Harrelson.
You can see the apples on it.
I'm going to have to cut the grass so I can find the apple.
Oh, and one just fell.
I am amazed. Look at all the leaves that are falling.
That's a nice apple.
These won't be ripe till fairly late September.
Well, we picked up a bunch.
Look at that, how many here.
I know.
Huh. And this other tree, both of them need severe pruning, which I don't do. This one had a few apples on it. Okay, so,
When we hit the bridge.
well, and we are walking past the cabin, going toward a bridge which needs repair. Eric jumped up and down on it too hard.
Oh,
We
jeez.
blame him. I am going to repair it with quickcrete steps
Okay.
for the first two down here. That's what will happen. There. And there we are.
And you have the.
1 year, this patina, it's where I keep the seeds from, grew up to the top of the house.
Oh, wow. You can see down here, Dan did some concrete.
And that's what the work that you and Dan did. which will get tarred in about a month. I have to let it dry thoroughly first.
Sure. All right. That was a tour of Earthward by the John Rylander and
Age 29
29.
plus.